Welcome to the Fighting on Film podcast, the podcast all about classic and obscure war movies, from the Normandy landings to the days of chivalry and swords. If it's been captured on film, we're going to try and cover it. I'm Robbie of RM Military History.
I'm Matthew Moss of Historical Firearms and the Armourer's Bench. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fighting on Film. Today we are doing one of our show and tell episodes, which is a little bit different to our normal sort of layout and running order, where we take a look at a couple of films or TV shows actually that we've looked at recently. More of an off-the-cuff chat than an in-depth deep dive as we do with normal episodes. And
like a taster, isn't it? It's like exactly. A taster. If it wets your whistle, let us know, sort of thing.
Exactly, definitely.
Yeah.
So this week, we've both watched some pretty interesting stuff, I think.
Yeah.
I watched Valley of Tears, which is an Israeli film about the Yom Kippur War.
A mini-series.
It is. It's it's not even mini. It's like 10 episodes.
Yeah, it's long, isn't it?
And I think there's going to be a second series. So I don't even think it's a mini-series because it's really interesting that they've done one area of the conflict and then they're going to do another front of the conflict, which I'm excited for because I did actually enjoy the series. It was quite interesting because it's a war I don't know a great deal about, but it's really historically interesting. One interesting aspect of it is it's all the Soviet kit used by the Arab armies, and then it's sort of Western kit used by the Israelis. So you've got
that like Cold War by proxy thing, isn't it?
Yeah. You got Centurions against T-72s.
Yes. Really it's great. Yeah, I don't think it's quite out here yet, is it?
Yeah, it's not quite out over here yet.
No, but Matt has his ways.
I did. I got impatient and rented it. So Rob, what have you watched this week? And then we'll circle back around and I'll
talk more. So I watched so every now and then, like when I'm doing research for the show, like me and Matt take it in turns and we'll send each other things that we find. So I was going through, I mean, God knows how I stumbled into these things, but you sort of do. And I was just looking for obscure, like TV movies or things that maybe had been liked at the time, but maybe just to fall into obscurity. And I came across...
these things don't get replayed, do they?
Yeah, exactly. How often do they get repeated? So I came across a made-for-TV film from 1994 called A Breed of Heroes. And it's based on a book by Alan Judd. And it was about his experiences of serving in Ireland with the British Army in the 70s. And it's like a dark comedy drama about that time. But it's like chock full of like famous faces. And the writing is
quite surprising.
Yeah, it's up on YouTube at the moment. And it's got Samuel West in it, Alexander Armstrong, Nicholas Farrell, Gillian Rynn-Tut. Richard Griffiths plays a big part in it. Jake Wood, the guy who played someone out of EastEnders, I think, was he like one of the Brannings?
I don't know.
Yeah, he is. He's only in it for like a split second, but I was like, bloody, I see him out of EastEnders. But it's just a great little movie. It's really, really well done. It actually, you think it's going to be like a pure comedy, but then it's got these moments where it just turns on a dime and it really makes you think.
It's very good, actually.
Yeah, the characters are a lot deeper than they first seem, and it's got some great quotes. You know, it's a real quotable movie.
Some quite funny lines in there, and then there's some quite things that make you think, aren't there?
It's really, really something. It was part of a thing that BBC One did. Called, or it might be BBC Two. I think they both aired.
I think they both did it, yeah.
Both aired from the same block, and it was called Screen One or Screen Two, and it was a response that the BBC did in the late 80s and early 90s, where they tried to beat Channel 4 like at its own game with really high production dramas. So that this falls under the screen banner, and it's just a cracking little TV movie that sort of, I think, has fallen away, or it's not as well remembered as it should be, perhaps.
Yeah, I watched it too, and I thought it was really good. I thought it dealt with Northern Ireland and the Troubles really well, actually.
Yeah. There's a couple of movies from Screen that deal with. Well, there's another one that deals with it, but we won't mention it because we want to give that a full episode, and we've got plans for that.
I'd like to give this a full episode too.
Yeah, we will. I think we will. It'd be interesting to see if anyone saw it at the time and hasn't seen it since. Because I mentioned it to my mum and dad, and they were like, "No, I don't remember it." But they were like, not to say that we didn't watch it, I just don't remember it. But it's got good production values. There's a lot of good kit in it. It doesn't feel like a TV movie at times. It's really well written.
It doesn't, and I think it handles the subject matter in a really interesting way.
Yeah. And Hard Targets gets shouted a lot, and that was hilarious.
Very funny. I love
the first shot of the movie is Samuel West's character and his friend are up on a ridge line, and they're silhouetted, to be fair. But they're commanding officers say hard targets, and they run down, and he's berating them, being like, make yourself a hard target at all times.
Yeah, one of them's like, what's he saying? He said it, and the other one, I think it's Samuel West, that turns to him and goes, we're making ourselves very obvious targets, and he's shouting at us not to.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? The real funny, like for an opener of a war film, it's quite funny.
Yeah,
it's a great one,
tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I would like to cover that one because I thought it was very well done. I thought the writing was very good, and I thought the cast was really good too.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of Valley of Tears. I know you relayed to me a little bit of what it was about, but it sounds fantastic.
I think I watched the first one and I was like, Rob, this is really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's out. I think Channel 4 are airing it. Was it More 4 airing it over here?
But yeah, it's very sort of men in war, which is something we talk about a lot on the show. And it follows a tank crew during Yom Kippur War. And
Centurions, which is like, I've seen some screenshots of those Centis. Come on.
Yeah, it's good.
Beautiful.
One of them does have a wooden mocked up GPMG on it, which is...
No, I can't win them all.
But there's some great Uzi action, which sort of makes up for it.
Didn't you say there was a jungle mags in it too?
There are, yeah. They got those sort of
the L shape.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so it's really interesting because there's a couple of interlocking plots. There's a young signals intel analyst who is up on Mount Harmon, and the first few episodes are him and his officer that becomes his friend trying to escape from the sort of besieged outpost. And it was produced by Ron Lesham, who is probably best known for Beaufort, which was Oscar nominated,
right?
Which is another film about the IDF. So I don't know how accurate or non-bias Valley of Tears is, but it doesn't appear to be sort of flag waving.
It's not taking a side, sort of thing.
It's interesting because it was filmed in the Golan Heights, and there was a lot of assistance from the IDF. So, I mean, that'll be something for us to dive into a little bit when we come.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's a theme, I think, that, and this says more maybe about the war movie genre as we go on. Is World War II going to wane as a topic? I mean, I don't think it will, but this is just me theorizing. Yeah. Will these post-war conflicts become more covered? Or will?
So. I really do.
I really hope so.
Because they're equally interesting. This one is really interesting because, well, as the series goes on, the last couple of episodes become a little bit more about that strategic picture,
right? Okay,
and how the characters sort of impact on that. And some of it is a little bit ham-fisted, I think, and that's something we can discuss in the future if we come to cover it once you've had a chance to watch it, Rob.
Yep.
And it's sort of, there's a little bit where the one tank crew that we follow is sort of given the credit for coming up with this tactic that they use during a tank battle.
Right. Okay.
And I don't know whether that is just. I suspect it's.
Did he come up with shooting the other tank? Is that how revolutionary it is?
Okay, well, a little bit of spoilers. They realise that the Syrians and the other Arab forces are fighting with their hatches closed, so they can't. Okay. They haven't got like
the visibility
as much of an ability to see the battlefield around them as the Israeli tankers do, because they're fighting with their hatches open.
Yep.
And they got the commanders got more situational awareness, and the tank crew realizes this, and they're like, no, we have to do this, and then they lead the last Israeli tanks into the tank battle with their hatches open, and they get in close to the into the Syrian tanks. It all gets a little bit Battle of the Bulge.
Okay.
Where they're
But with Centurions, I mean, at least they're in the accurate tanks. I mean, that's something.
I mean, yeah, but that's very true. And yeah, that's one of the things that is a positive with the show. They took Centurions and they put fresh engines in them, so they could have them moving around and looking spot on.
Oh, can they give those tanks to like the Tank Museum at Bovington so we can all bask in their Centurion goodness?
Centurion that was on the move.
I know. Yeah, I think they do, but just have more, please. They're great, aren't they?
They are really cool.
I love them.
But there's loads of interesting sort of little bits of Israeli cultural history and social movements going on. There's mentions.
Yeah, the trailer looked really good, didn't it? Really high production values.
The socialist Black Panther movement, because half of the tank crew are Black Panthers, which in Israel the Black Panthers were sort of a socialist organization inspired by the American Black Panthers. So
okay.
All kinds of like interesting stuff that gets fed into the show.
Like 70s politics as well coming in it. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Yeah. I'll really be interested to see, is there any sort of cultural bias flowing through it, any historical inaccuracy? Because it is genuinely a war I don't know a great deal about. And I'll have to do a little bit of reading around and doing a bit of research when we come to cover it. But really interesting show.
No, good. Sounds like
that men in war aspect.
Yeah, I think that's always a winner, isn't it? It's something about that. I think it's not relatable because obviously not everyone's a soldier, but I mean it's relatable. You can relate to a human being going through that situation, I guess. Like going through stress. I mean, not everyone can relate to going through a war, but on a human level, you can appreciate it, which I totally get. And that brings us into Breed of Heroes, because that movie is about how people react to their environment as well.
Yes.
So and I think that's a good comparison between the two. And I would recommend the Breed of Heroes if you've got an hour and a half to kill. It's on YouTube. I mean, it's fantastic. It's really, really good.
Well, I binged Valley of Tears. I can recommend that one too.
Great. So there's two more TV based war epics to wet your whistle there. Let us know on the Twitter if you've seen them or what you think, or whether you think we should do a full episode. But we always love to hear from you. And as always, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, share, and subscribe.
The website at www.fightingonfilm.com. And as Rob always says, don't forget to leave us a like or a review on whatever platform you're listening to. And thank you very much for listening. I'm going to give Rob a day off from saying the generic ending, and that you can support us via Patreon as well if you're enjoying the show. But more importantly, please do share the show with friends. So,
and thanks
for listening, guys.
Catch you again. Bye.